Are foldable screens the next big thing in smartphones yet? Well, yes and no. Samsung believes so and is investing heavily in the only segment of the smartphone market that is supposed or expected to grow at least tenfold in the next couple of years. But Samsung is not the only company thinking that foldable smartphones won't go the way of 3D TVs anytime soon. For example, Motorola tried its shot at the Galaxy Flip form factor with its Razr. It's a bit of a nostalgia operation. Xiaomi has its own Mi Mix Fold, which is basically a Galaxy Fold 3 with a different name. Same form factor, same weird elongated screen. Now Oppo is also entering the fray with its new Find N. I have it here. And it's a very interesting device that tries to solve two of the still biggest problems of foldable smartphones in interesting ways. So namely the size and weight of the smartphone itself and the quality of the screen, the foldable screen. So first of all, size. Oppo has gone a completely different way because the size of the main screen is the size of a smallish form factor smartphone. Think iPhone 13 mini, more or less. The screen is 5.49 inches, the external screen. And if you want to understand the total size of the device, just take another iPhone 13 and just put it on top of the other, and you have an iPhone 13 mini sandwich, I would say, which is kind of an expensive sandwich, I guess. On the other hand, the Find N is still kind of heavy. 275 grams, which is surprisingly a few grams more than Samsung's Galaxy Fold 3. So yes, it's small, but dense. Construction is great and the phone feels premium enough. The hinge mechanism is fluid and the clap, oh boy, the clap. When you close it, it's quite satisfying. Then there's key components. Cameras, storage, and chipset on foldables are a solved problem. Companies usually take their best configuration from their flagship, shave off some costs here and there, and put the same setup in their foldable, plus or minus a camera module or two. With the Find N, Oppo has done the same thing, so it's taken the same specs more or less than the Find X3 Pro, minus two cameras. The wide, the ultra wide and the macro are not the same quality as the Find X3 Pro. But then when it comes to screen quality and battery size, there's still a compromise that I guess consumers still have to understand if they're willing to accept. Because sure, foldable screens are an amazing feat of engineering, but they still have a lot of shortcomings when it comes to picture quality in comparison to how far regular smartphone screens have come. Well, Oppo did a good job overall on the Find N, and while the internal foldable screen is not as good as the one on the Find X3 Pro, sure, it's definitely good enough, with 1000 nits peak brightness and 120 Hz refresh rate. What I've really liked so far is how Oppo has kind of solved the crease issue, at least visually. The central folding axis on the screen is flatter than the one on the Samsung Galaxy Fold 3, and to really see it, you have to look at it from kind of an angle or through a reflection. Yet you could still pretty much feel it with your fingers when you're tapping and sliding them across the screen. Battery, on the other hand, is a bit lackluster. The volume is 4500 mAh, but the Find N only has a 33 watt fast charging. I mean, it's not bad, but also not great considering that Oppo sells some of the fastest chargers on the market. It takes about 70 minutes to fully charge the Find N compared to the 36 minutes that you need to fully charge a Find X3 Pro. All in all, the Find N is really a great entry into the foldable smartphones arena, but it's still pretty much too early to compare it to Samsung's offering. On the hardware level, it's pretty clear that Oppo has a formidable device in its hands, but the company is prioritizing the Chinese market. So a release date for the EU or US market is not available yet, and it's actually unclear at all if Find N will be available outside of China ever. I can say much about the software too. What I've tried on the Find N so far is derived from the Chinese version. But in this regard, Samsung clearly still has quite the advantage, given its 2+ years experience with market-ready foldable devices. Find N has a big advantage in its price. In China, it retails for 7,699 yuan, which should be around 1,070 euros or $1,200, more or less. Yet the question remains the same. How are companies convincing users to give up their high-quality traditional flagship phones to accept the quality and usability compromises of similarly priced foldable? For Samsung, the answer is pretty clear. It's either about positioning their foldables as lifestyle products with the Flip series, or like high productivity devices for people that really need to get the job done, whatever that means, with the Galaxy Fold 3. With Oppo, well, we still don't have a narrative. And I guess the only thing we can do is to wait and see if they're coming with these phones to the European or Western markets in general. We'll see what the marketing division at Oppo is going to come up with. In the meantime, we just have to know that phones, whatever the next big smartphone will look like, have come a long way.